Hello and welcome to Filmfolket's podcast. We that speaks today is Göran.
Johannes.
Daniel.
Today's movie is The Neverending Story. The movie in brief.
Based on the book by Mikael Ende, German author. We follow the young boy Bastian, who is having an awful time. His mother recently died, and his father seemingly burying his emotions in work. Bullies chase Bastian for his money when he leaves the house. Everything is bad. He takes shelter in an old bookshop, where he meets its owner, Mr. Coriander, who slyly encourages the boy to take a mysterious book with him. And as he reads it, Bastian is swept along on an adventure where the young warrior Atreo must travel the world of Fantasia to save it from a mysterious destructive force.
That's a good summary. And this is a movie that I've seen a lot when I was a child. And I think that it's had a very groundbreaking story and a very good soundtrack, cool animations for its time, even if some might not think it is, but I mean I still like it.
So you have some very interesting music credited to Georgi Moroder, who was a visionary of electronic disco. And his music basically replaced that of Klaus Stoldinger, who made the original. It's a little peculiar. You have some very interesting special effects that basically, as we talked about Terry Gilliam's Baron Munchausen movie, that these special effects with these puppets and very obviously artificial environments really don't look bad for what they are. They actually enhance the sense of this being an imaginative setting. Imaginary, not imaginative, but maybe both. So it doesn't really hurt that stuff looks fake. It sells the fantasy.
Yeah, because it feels like all creatures in this movie is unique. Especially when you see the one that had a bat, and then another one that had like a racing snail, and then we have the rock biter, and also the creatures that was at the place, not the castle, but where the emperor are. Or yeah, and when you see on them, and none of them look alike, and that's another thing that I think is quite cool with this movie as well.
Yes, you have some very interesting creature designs. It's very artistic.
Yeah, I agree with the design of the environment and creatures. It's a very charming design, I feel. The story, however, I feel like it's an idea that was never finished.
In what sense?
I couldn't really get into the whole world building and such. It feels like they had a couple of ideas and just throw them together. I don't know how to explain it, really. It didn't sit right. I feel like the pacing was off. The dialogue felt off.
Yeah, it might be a little bit cheesy when it comes to it's an 80s movie, but I still feel like there's some iconic scenes, of course, and then we have like that has been in like top 10 list for one of the most saddest moments in movie history, and that's the Swamp of Sorrows, when the horse is sinking. And we also have like someone that thought like, oh, this is a good idea, and I'm gonna make a figurine out of this, where they have made that scene into a figurine where Atreyu tries to free Artrax, and they made that into a figurine. And I think, why? And then we also have this big turtle, and he's allergic to youth, and I sort of agree with him. I sort of do that as well, and he's one of my favorite characters in this movie.
Kids make you sick. I think some of the awkwardness of the script could be credited to the fact that it has been translated from German, and in turn they also made a lot of editorial decisions and changed the plot quite significantly by the end. And the movie in turn also only adapts half the book.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You have a lot of loose ends and oddities with it.
Because I like the fantasy aspect when they are on scenes, but then when you see like the scenes where they're flying, then it feels like they're in the real world and not the fantasy world, when you see all the mountains and everything. So I guess maybe that's part that feels a little bit off.
I don't mind that, because that's a design choice. Like all the design of the environment and such, and animations and everything, I like that. It's very charming. Is that I couldn't really get into the story.
I think there's some matte painting going on with some of the scenes, while others are shot in real environments and others are quite obviously built on stage.
Like the characters we meet in the beginning, the rock giant and rock biter, they don't really do anything with the story. And I kind of feel sad, because I like the characters, the design, and the little we get to know about their personalities. I wish they could have been more involved in the story, but if it's like you said, that they translated from German and they couldn't get everything.
And I also like the test that Atreyu needs to go through to get to the Southern Oracle, especially the first gate. Looks very nice. And then we have the other gate, which is kind of interesting because it really is one of, besides the first one that many fails, this one you also can fail, because it really show you who you really are as a person inside you. So that's also a nice plot point in the story.
Yes, you have a few things about the movie that, and also in the book, that are very much metafiction, including the reader in the story and that sort of a thing. Ende's books are kind of built this way, with a lot of philosophical ideas and metaphors. The Swamp of Sadness is a metaphor for depression. The nothing, the destructive force consuming the land, is a broader symbolism of the smothering of hope into nihilism by oppressive forces seeking power over you. So, in a meta sense, basically a criticism of authoritarianism that destroys people's dreams.
I was wondering what could have been done differently and other thoughts. And I still like this movie for what it is, and the animation is good. The soundtrack is good to set the moods of scenes. If it is like something is happening, like when you meet like whatever this kind of dog, wolf, call it whatever you want, and the music that they portray when he comes. And yeah, that's what I like about it.
Falkor the Luck Dragon. This Asian dragon creature. It's a very peculiar design, very memorable.
Mix between a dog and a dragon, sort of.
With a disturbingly human face.
I feel like this is a movie that should have been longer. Most of the scenes feels like they should have more build up to them.
Basically rushing through it.
Yes, because the idea is awesome, and the design is awesome. The music also works pretty well. So I just felt like there needed to be more. There's too much gap. It still works as a movie. It's entertaining and charming, and like in that sense. But it felt like it was missing something. That's a little sad, I think.
Reading up about the special effects, and there was this thing about the intro that I thought was interesting. They had these rolling clouds that looked a little off, and I figured that this has to be some kind of liquid. And sure enough, that's how they do it. It's essentially particles, sand and stuff that's run through some very salty water.
It's very cool. I like it.
Injected with paint, milk, ink and other stuff. So you can get these rolling formations. The movie was actually disowned by the author, who was very disappointed with how it didn't follow his writing. Some of that latter half of the book that was actually made into part of the second movie, with the witch Saide and how Bastian sacrifices his memories, is an important plot point in the latter half of the actual book. Ende particularly disliked how the words on the Orin amulet were changed in translation from do what you want to do what you dream, because the true meaning behind it is to find your true will as a plot point. It's not wrong to be a dreamer, but you must focus that imagination constructively. I also think that they basically rushed the ending. Rather than having things come together, they basically just push through the last few minutes of the movie, and you have this ambiguous ending where Bastian is essentially living out his fantasies, and it's described as his adventure before returning to the real world, so this is basically all in his head. Doesn't really elaborate on that, and I think it can be very confusing to a younger audience, given how philosophical the movie gets at times. It was also the most expensive movie made in Germany at the time, with quite a lot of injuries on set.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this one and the second movie. I haven't seen the third one. And I've seen a little bit of the cartoon TV series that was airing in 1995 to 1996. So it didn't air for very long, but it is like another thing that they did with Neverending Story.
For a fun bit of trivia, you have Noah Hathaway, who played Atreyu, made a thing out of bringing baskets of dollar bills to conventions. offering fans some small compensation for needing therapy after the Swamp of Sorrow scene. For those so inclined, I could recommend Ende's other book, Momo, which is another one of these philosophical fantasy things that I read when I was younger. Basically about, despite having all these devices these days, we have less and less time to spare.
Okay, other ideas for next time. And I think we were saying something along the lines that if we are a full group, we will maybe watch Crocodile Dundee, and then we had like a couple of movies that we must mention last time as well. So
Also considering Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai.
yes,
I also dug up the fact that Noah Hathaway, Atreus' actor, was actually in the infamous Troll movie.
okay.
Troll 2 is the one with a infamously awkward ending.
Okay.
I have a boxed set with both Troll 1 and 2. Could be interesting to watch at some point.
So I wish you goodbye for this time. Don't forget to watch, like, and subscribe, and follow our social. See you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.